We all know one of the most important things for healthy relationships is receiving and giving forgiveness. So what can we do when the one with whom we need to reconcile is gone? Hi, I'm Father Kevin Zubel, a Redemptorist missionary stationed in Baton Rouge. One of the hardest things as I work with people in confession and sometimes in spiritual counseling is when there's something lost in their relationship with someone they're very, very close to. When there was someone they hurt or someone who hurt them, but they haven't been able to achieve reconciliation or to pursue reconciliation because the person has passed on. I remember years ago working with a family in the hospital. A man had come in for something very, very routine, but things turned sour very, very quickly. And soon he was in ICU and he was unresponsive. And his family was in the middle of a time of turmoil where brothers and sisters weren't speaking with one another and where he was somewhat estranged with his wife. And over the course of the day, as the man slowly slipped away, I saw as family came and gathered around his bed and tried to work out all of these hurt relationships, hoping that he would wake up and give them some closure, to say some things, to respond. But that moment never came. He passed on into the next life, and the family felt a little lost on how to move forward. And so the question for us is, how does that faith and that trust in eternal life help us find peace of mind when our relationships close and they're incomplete? Well, we get some guidance from St. Paul in his first letter to the Corinthians. And this is the second part of a reading that we all know well, and we hear at so many weddings, and it's the great discourse on love. And here at the end, St. Paul says this: "Love never ends, but as for prophecies, they will come to an end. As for tongues, they will cease. As for knowledge, it will come to an end. For we know only in part, and we prophesy only in part. But when the complete comes, the partial will come to an end. For now we see in a mirror dimly, but then we will see face to face. Now I know only in part, then I will know fully, even as I have been fully known. And now faith, hope, and love abide, these three. And the greatest of these is love." And so what St. Paul reminds us of is that what we can only see dimly, what we can only prophesy incompletely now, we will see and understand in its fullness in the time to come. So now that doesn't mean that we just ignore the wrong that people do to us, that we just let the past be the past, let bygones be bygones. No, actions have consequences. And especially in cases of violence or abuse, it's important that we seek something resembling reconciliation for the healing of all. So what do we do when the person whom we have hurt or the person who has hurt us isn't available for a face-to-face conversation, when we can't do that hard work here and now? Well, the first step is to trust in what St. Paul is telling us, that day will come when we will know the fullness of who we are and know the fullness of who others are, when we'll be reunited again. As we say in our funeral liturgy, our lives are not ended, they are transformed as we move from this life into the next. How does that help me today? Well, it helps us to understand that we are moving towards healing. We are moving towards reconciliation. And we have the right and the joy to expect that that day will come. And so here's a practical recommendation. If someone has passed on and you didn't have the chance to say what you wanted to say or to have that conversation you wanted to have, it's perhaps write a letter. Write a letter where you put together your thoughts, what you would like to say to that person. I remember once giving this to a woman as her penance in confession because she was so bound to to the hurt that someone had caused her. And I said, write the letter. She had a broken relationship with her sister, and her sister had died suddenly of COVID in a different country. And so she told me in a later confession that as she was writing the letter, she was trying to think of how her sister would respond to the things that she was saying. And as she was doing this, she began to realize little things that her sister had tried to do, little gestures, little messages, things that she hadn't picked up on before. And she realized that, maybe through pride, maybe through some sense of confusion, her sister never took the step to ask for forgiveness. But something deep within her was trying to reach out and reach out to her to restore this relationship. And so this woman found peace of mind knowing that her sister, in some part, had tried in her own imperfect way to restore the relationship. This is the power that can come when we have confidence that we will know all things fully, that we will prophesy in fully. And so, if you find yourself in this situation, write a letter, put your thoughts down, have confidence that someday some form of that conversation may happen and may take place. But above all, trust in that unbroken bond of love that conquers all, and trust that we will be restored and have that peace for which we all hope.